listening to TC TAUX on TNT.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It is TC here, back with another episode of TC TAUX, and today we're going to be diving into my Week 3 predictions for the NFL. If you guys don't already know, I already gave you my first game, my Thursday night football prediction on our previous video, so not the Week 2 wrap-up video, but the Week 2 predictions video, just because I didn't think that video was going to make it out in time to beat the Browns-Steelers game, and I was right. It is currently the first quarter of the Browns-Steelers game right now, so I'm glad I did that, and you know I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you. I did pick the Browns in that contest, so let's go ahead, dive into all of those contests heading into this week. And I want to know what your favorite contest is for this week. Which one is going to be the most fun to watch? Which one's going to be the worst? Anything like that down in the comment section below. You already know I'm pumped over those Bears playing those Houston Texans. I think it's going to go a long way as a Bears fan this week. Finally going to have some good news yet again. But let's dive into some other games really quickly. We're going to talk all about the Bills and Dolphins. Now, this game should be interesting because Tua is the top quarterback in the NFL right now in terms of numbers and all that jazz. And Josh Allen is the top quarterback in terms of everything else, in terms of swagger, in terms of competitiveness, in terms of just domination on a football field. He is the man. He's the definition of a football god right now. So, will that God have his faith be restored in him, or will Tua make God bleed this week? Who knows? I think Josh Allen makes a statement game, puts Tua a little bit back in his place. No 6-game touchdown passes for him, but I do think that Tua is going to try to keep the energy going. Tyreek Hill, Jason Waddell, they've been amazing weapons on offense, and who knows where the ceiling is. We've seen how good they could be. Can they replicate that, though? I'm not sure. We've seen Josh Allen and the Bills replicate it, but we've also seen that Bills defense get absolutely cooked by good receivers and good quarterback play. So, if the Bills are not able to get that pass rush going, it's going to be a hard deal for that Bills secondary. But I do suspect the Bills come away with the win in this one. Then the Bengals hunt for their first win of the season against a former rival in Joe Flacco, if he stays out there, because Zach Wilson might be in there for this week. He's not supposed to be, but he could be. So unless he makes a miraculous recovery, we're going to see Joe Flacco for the third game. And if Joe Flacco keeps playing the way he's doing, maybe Zach Wilson never shows back up again, and he has all the money and time to go and slay all the MILFs he wants to. But in that case, Joe Flacco is going to have to step it up, and he's going to be able to do so against a Bengals team that is just completely diminished, coming off a poor performance to end the Super Bowl, back-to-back losses to start the 2022 regular season. It is not looking good for Joe Burrow and company. Jamar Chase needs to be able to break out. Nothing is gelling. This new offensive line looks worse than the old offensive line. What is going on with these Bengals? But they're going up against a Jets defense who's not exactly known to be the heart stopper of all defenses. It's not going to make Zach Wilson pause and look on the sidewalk and say, wow, that is a hot older defense. That's not what's going to happen. This defense, it has its perks. It has its little ups and downs for sure. But overall, not anything that you're going to be jumping up and down about. Okay, no Pepe Le Pew-like behavior with this defense. So I got to give it to the Bengals in this one. Finally get that win in Week 3. Other than that, Joe Flacco, hopefully you're not one of the best QBs at the end of this week, because come on, where is everybody else? Where are all the quarterbacks of 2022? Could you guys make it back onto the field, please? Thank you. Joe Flacco is making y'all look bad. Then the Raiders, who have looked so bad that they're playing another team that's so bad that might make them look worse, because the Tennessee Titans, I can't see them losing to the Raiders because the Raiders are losing to everybody. The Raiders should have beat the Cardinals. The Raiders had an opportunity to win week 1, and they've squandered both games away. Derek Carr is just unable to be the answer for the Raiders. He's kind of like Carson Wentz. Is he enough to be competitive? Sometimes. But is he enough to be the guy to win? Absolutely not. It's time to move on. Derek Carr is a good guy. He's a decent quarterback. But overall, you got all this talent. You need to win. Go get a quarterback. It's the NFL. Same thing for Tennessee. A little bit of a different situation because they have no weapons on offense. And Ryan Tannehill is the only thing that even counts as half a weapon. And even he's doing bad. Ryan Tannehill looks absolutely garbage, especially getting pulled at the end of week 2 in favor of a backup quarterback in that contest. Terrible. So it's going to be a clown show for sure, but the question is it going to be a clown show on defense, or are the offenses going to continue to choke on their mediocrity? I think it's going to be the latter, and it's going to be a low-scoring contest, and whatever defense is able to score or come away with a turnover, I'm going to give it to them, and for that reason, I kind of want to lean towards the Raiders, but I don't know. Derek Carr makes it hard to go with the Raiders, but Ryan Tannehill also makes it equally as hard to go with the Titans. But you know what? I am going to go with the Raiders. The Raiders are going to win that contest for sure. Then the Saints play the Panthers. The Saints are going to win that one. We're not going to talk too much about that one because you know what, Baker Mayfield, until you stop letting me down, you don't got my vote anymore. Then the Ravens and the Patriots, and let's be honest, yeah, the Ravens lost last week to Tua, but it is not going to be the norm. They are going to roll right over the Patriots. Lions and Vikings, and if Kirk Cousins of last week shows up, it's game over. But if Kirk Cousins of week 1 shows up, it's going to be a deadly, deadly game. It is going to be all the way up to the moon in the scoring. And if the Vikings defense is able to get similar pass rush that they did in week 1 against Green Bay, then it's going to be very difficult for this Lions team. But overall, that Lions offense is just running the ball with impunity right now. I got to give it to the Lions in this contest. The Eagles and Commanders, and I got to go with the team that's flying high with the Eagles. Carson Wentz, you're not getting my vote, similar to Baker Mayfield, because you let me down all the time. You are going to be my new starting fantasy quarterback because you do score fantasy points, and I need more than 20 points from Kyler Murray, but unfortunately, I don't peg you as a winner. Very different situations. You're kind of like Matthew Stafford, but fantasy. Then you have the Chiefs and the Colts, and do we really need to say more? Chiefs over the Colts all day. I mean, no contest. Texans and Bears, and this is an interesting game because they're not expected to score more than 40 points combined in this game, which I think is high as heck. I mean, 40 is, that's a lot for the Bears and the Texans to score. Are they saying maybe the defenses are bad too? And for that reason, maybe David Montgomery is just going to run all over the Texans defense. Perhaps maybe the Texans are going to be able to run all over the Bears D because you saw that last week against the Packers. But at the same time, I don't see them going out there and either team scoring over 20 points. I don't see either team scoring more than 2 touchdowns. So this is going to be a ridiculously low-scoring game. I want to give it to the Bears. I'm hoping it's going to be the Bears because the Texans look absolutely horrible, but the Bears looked horrible in week 2. You could say whatever you want about week 1 and how there were highlights, whatever. There wasn't a highlight in week 2. If they would have lost with a highlight, whatever, but there is no highlight. David Montgomery, 100+ yards on the ground is not a highlight. That should be an expected, that should be a given. 100 yards on the ground is not an accomplishment. Okay, it is individually. We'll give it to him. And David Montgomery, as a player, 100 yards, congratulations, bro. But as a unit, doesn't matter, especially when you score 10 points. Does not matter. Then the Jags and the Chargers, and if Justin Herbert is able to play in this game, I'm going to give it to him because Wow, he looks like he's ready to do some damage. There is an article right here from WTOP.com. I'm assuming it's some local news out there in Los Angeles. It says Justin Herbert is hopes to play against Trevor Lawrence in this week 3 matchup. So hopefully he's able to make it out there on the field. It would be nice to see him out there. I do want to give it to the Chargers in this contest. I do love Trevor Lawrence overall. He's been growing on me, been watching him make those baby steps, and it's getting to be nice to see him put in that work game in and game out. But honestly, I think Justin Herbert's finally in that spot where he's ready to break out as well. Similar spot as Tua. So hopefully he's able to continue to do that. And hopefully those ribs are all good. The Rams play the Cardinals. And this was going to be one of those big games last year that just didn't amount to anything. In the regular season, the Cardinals were able to beat the Rams. But then the Rams turned right around in the playoffs and were able to wallop the Cardinals. And honestly, I'm hoping Kyler Murray is able to have some sort of redemption in this game. But Kyler Murray through the first 8 games last year was phenomenal as well. So perhaps it's the first 8 of the season that he's going to be good. We will tell how good he is at the back 8 of the season, or I guess in this case, the back 9 of this season. It's able to apply because there's 17 games and 9 plus 8 is 17. So bam, back 9. That's a golf reference if you didn't know. But in either case, I have the Rams beating up the Cardinals. Then this is probably the most interesting game of week 3, in my opinion. You can defer with me all you want. I want to know in the comment section down below which game is better. It is going to be the Packers versus the Buccaneers. And I know a lot of people are saying that Buccaneers defense looked pretty stellar over these past few weeks. And I completely agree with you because this is their last chance to get a Super Bowl. They got Tom Brady on their sides, which means they got the officials on their sides. They got a nice defense. They got a receiving core. They got an okay offensive line. It is win or go home for them. And whatever quarterback they bring in next is not going to be able to amount to Tom Brady. He's not going to be able to get them over the hump by getting the officials to just look the other way or anything like that. So they need Brady to win now. So that defense is trying extra hard for him, recognizing that he is not in the mental headspace to go out there and lead the team like he normally is. So the defense is picking up the slack for him. I think it's going to be an impressive game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring contest. And because it's going to be a low-scoring contest, I got to give it to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in this contest. Then the Falcons, who came so close to 28-3 comeback somebody else, they get to play the Seahawks, a team that they might not even try to come back to because the Seahawks are so bad. Now, Geno Smith, of course, had that decent showing week 1, but overall, not the answer for Seattle. Looked pretty shaky in week 2. Honestly, by shaky, I mean he looked bad. Terrible. Not good. But in either case, he's going up against a Falcons team that has not much respect on themselves either. So perhaps Geno Smith can regain some of his credibility in this matchup. This is the perfect team to play to try to get some of that swagger back. Then Jimmy G is going to get another start, which is interesting because it's like he was going to get paid if he was able to make some marks in the season. And it's like, well, if you're riding the bench, how are you going to get those marks? How weird is it that he is able to play and potentially hit those marks? He's going to be going up against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. And as the previous video mentioned, I don't see Russell Wilson being the difference maker for the Broncos. I think the 49ers are the overall better team, and I expect them to come away with the win in this one. And the final game, the Cowboys versus the Giants. Can Daniel Jones keep the magic going, keep the undefeated season alive against Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys? I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't see the Cowboys being able to let another game slip through their grasp, especially against the New York Giants. I just don't see that happening. But overall, I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I don't think Cooper Rush is going to be as stellar as he was in week 2, but I do want to give him some credit for his ability to step in and make a difference at the position because he did better than Dak Prescott did in week 1. Okay, overall, he did a great job. So shout out to him for being able to do something with this offense. Of course, Daniel Jones may surprise everybody and, show why he was picked to be a starter in the NFL, but I really don't think so. I think it's going to come down to Cooper Rush and that running attack for Dallas. But in either case, I want to know your thoughts down below. Which games did I get right? Which ones did I get wrong? I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Give me all the YouTube love, all the buttons. Trick the algorithm into telling them that I'm amazing and fantastic and they should share this content with everybody in the world. Until next time, this has been TC with another episode of TC Talks. Peace.